I bet you, within the next couple of minutes, you're going to do something that is completely out of your control. In fact, right this second, just by me mentioning this word, your brain is already starting to gear up. That word is yawn. See, you might have just taken a deep breath. Most of us grew up with a very basic belief. Yawning is a sign of sleepiness, boredom, or the body flashing a low battery warning. Simple as that, right? But the truth behind that harmless, wide-open mouth is far more complex than you think. It's not just a symptom of fatigue. It's an intricate survival mechanism wired into our nervous system millions of years ago. So, why do we actually yawn? And the bigger, more mysterious question, why is yawning so strangely contagious? Why is it that just seeing someone else yawn on the subway, or even just reading about it, makes you unable to resist opening your mouth? When you learn the answer, the way you view fatigue, the way you understand your own brain, and even how you measure your closeness to others, will completely change. Let's rewind history for a moment. For centuries, and chances are even your middle school science teacher taught you this, we were told that we yawn to get more oxygen. This hypothesis sounds completely logical. When you're tired or sleepy, your breathing slows down. Your body is supposedly starved of oxygen and building up too much carbon dioxide. So, your brain commands you to yawn, one massive, deep inhalation, to flush out the CO2 and fill your lungs with fresh oxygen. Sounds like a flawless automated mechanism, right? There's just one problem. Modern science has proven that it's not true. Numerous studies have been conducted where scientists place volunteers in rooms with varying levels of oxygen and CO2. If the oxygen hypothesis were correct, people in high CO2 rooms would yawn constantly, while those breathing pure oxygen would stop yawning entirely. But what were the results? No matter how the gas concentrations in the room changed, the yawn rate among the participants stayed exactly the same. Our bodies are not yawning to breathe. We yawn for a completely different reason. If it's not about oxygen, then what does the brain want? Imagine your brain like a computer. It only accounts for about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your energy. When you work continuously, think intensely, or when you're sleep deprived, this computer starts to overheat. And just like any machine, when it overheats, it operates much less efficiently. Many modern physiology researchers now believe that a yawn is actually the brain's built-in air cooling system. When you yawn, you open your mouth wide, stretching your entire jaw. This action forces a massive wave of blood up into your face and head. Immediately after, you draw a deep breath of cool air from the outside, deep into your nasal and oral cavities. That airflow cools down the blood vessels, and that newly cool blood is quickly pumped straight back up to the brain, lowering the brain's temperature. That's why you typically yawn the most at two specific times: right before you go to sleep and right after you wake up. At night, your brain temperature reaches its peak after a long day of activity, so it needs to cool down to transition into rest mode. In the morning, waking up causes a sudden spike in temperature, so a long yawn acts like a system reboot to help you wake up sharper. Yawning isn't a sign that your brain is shutting down. On the contrary, it's your body trying to keep your brain awake and alert. At this point, things seem to make sense. Yawning is biology's radiator fan. Makes sense. Wait a minute, though. If yawning is just meant to cool down your own individual brain, how do we explain the phenomenon of contagious yawning? This is where everything flips upside down. My brain is overheating, so I yawn to cool it down. That doesn't mean your brain is also overheating and needs cooling at the exact same time. So why, when I yawn, do you yawn right back? The truth is, a spontaneous yawn and a contagious yawn, while looking identical on the outside, are actually driven by completely different parts of the brain. The spread of a yawn has nothing to do with temperature, oxygen, or fatigue. It relates to one of humanity's most sophisticated survival tools: empathy. Think of it like an invisible Wi-Fi network, connecting the emotions of people within a group. Contagious yawning isn't a simple physiological reflex. It's a psychosocial phenomenon. Evolutionary psychology researchers tell us That contagious yawning primarily appears in highly social animal species that live in complex packs, like humans, chimpanzees, and wolves. In prehistoric times, a tribe's survival depended on everyone acting together. If the leader was tired and preparing to sleep, he would yawn. Others seeing this would have their brains pick up the signal of that fatigue and yawn right back. It acted like a silent broadcast. All right, everyone, it's time to sleep so we can hunt tomorrow. Or upon waking up, a contagious yawn helped synchronize the alertness of the entire pack, making sure no one lagged behind or let their guard down against predators. Contagious yawning was how our ancestors synchronized the behavior of an entire group without uttering a single sound. But it goes even further than that. Modern research into human behavior has revealed a stunning truth. The more empathetic you are, the more likely you are to catch a yawn. Scientists have observed that young children do not catch yawns at all until they reach about 4 or 5 years old. Why that specific age? Because 4 to 5 is when a child's brain begins developing the cognitive capacity for emotional recognition and empathy toward others. Before that age, children might yawn on their own when sleepy, but they won't yawn back when watching their parents do it. What's more, the rate of contagious yawning isn't distributed evenly. You are far more likely to catch a yawn from a close family member or a dear friend than from a complete stranger on the street. Our brains prioritize synchronization with people we care about. On the flip side, some studies also show that individuals with a tendency toward lower emotional depth, or those dealing with certain neurological conditions, tend to yawn back less often. Of course, the science of psychology is complex, and there is no absolute final conclusion yet. So don't go testing your friends' personalities with a yawn test just yet. This empathy even crosses species lines. Do you have a dog? If you do, try looking straight into your dog's eyes and letting out a big yawn. Very likely, your dog will yawn right back. Dogs are among the rare animals capable of reading human emotions, and them catching a yawn from their owner is a stunning testament to the emotional bond between our two species. So what do we learn from all of this? Next time you're stuck in a painfully long meeting at the office, or sitting through a lecture in class, and you accidentally let out a huge yawn, don't feel too guilty. You aren't necessarily being lazy or disrespectful to the speaker. The truth is, your brain is working way too hard. It's overheating, and it's turning on its cooling fan just to keep you functional. And if your boss or your teacher catches you doing it and accidentally yawns right back, don't laugh at them. Don't assume they're bored too. Take quiet pride in it, because on a deep, subconscious level, their brain just connected with yours. That contagious yawn is an echo from millions of years of evolution, saying, I get you, I feel you, and we belong to the same pack. Science always hides incredible stories within our most ordinary human actions, from cooling the brain to stay alert, to serving as an invisible emotional bridge between people. And now, before we wrap up this video, let's be completely honest with me. From the very beginning until now, how many times did you just yawn? Drop your count in the comments below, and let's see who holds the highest empathy score in our community. See you in the next videos.